Good morning. It's time to wake up. I'm your host, Downtown Logan Brown, and this is the Sunday Dinking Club. Let's get into the top stories of pickleball this week. All right, first a little housekeeping. I'm recording this on a Thursday. I got some friends coming in town to hang out with the wife and I, and I'm not going to have time to record this on a Saturday night. So, I've been watching singles today. Unfortunately, my main guy, Tyson McGuffin, I'm always rooting for him, lost a little earlier than expected. Ben Johns, who has been out of the game for a couple of weeks, I had him going all the way in all three events. Lost early today to Christian Alshon. But hey, I'm a big Christian Alshon fan. And Jake Kuzmiter, who I mentioned a couple weeks ago, fam, is climbing up the singles ladder. I don't even know what's happening right now. I'm recording this while he's probably playing. So, sorry. You guys already know the answer of what's going on with him. If he wins this whole thing, then I'm a genius and I love him and come on the podcast. All right, here's what else is going on. The PPA has better distribution than Walter White, friends. They just announced a partnership with Amazon Prime, or whatever you call this service. Is it still Prime if it's on TV? I always think of Prime as the shipping, but maybe it's still called Amazon Prime. Whatever the streaming service is, I have it. It's with my Prime subscription. I love it. There's some good stuff on there. These guys are everywhere. First, they're on YouTube. Then they ink a deal with CBS. Then they ink a deal with ESPN. Now they're with Amazon. I don't know where to keep up, but whatever. Follow my Instagram if you don't know, and I'll figure out a way to tell you each week exactly where to find them, and we'll watch together. Anyway, I watched today. A bunch of rain delays, unfortunately. Kind of sucks for the first time they're going to be on Amazon Prime, and they're kind of inking this partnership. They even have the banners with Amazon on it. I don't know if this was planned, but it's great. Listen, I'm all for it if it exposes more people to pickleball. This weekend looks great. This Atlanta venue, Lifetime there in Atlanta, looks amazing. They have like actual stands built in. The only thing that's different here is that, well, number one, it's outdoors. Number two, because they have stands already built in, people aren't exactly like on the court. You're kind of like what it seems to be like 10 feet above the court. Kind of a cool viewing angle, but not as close to the pros. Where in Charlotte, we were like on the floor. You could sit with your feet on the floor, and you were right behind the signage, just kind of standing 10 feet from a pro. It was pretty amazing. That's fun. But in any case, the VIP section of this Atlanta Open looks amazing. And it's Sunday, Champions Dink on Sunday. I can't tell you who's in it, but I can give you a couple of solid choices. I've already told you I'm recording this on a Thursday, so I really have no idea at this point who's playing. But I'm going to go ahead and give my predictions now. As you're watching this, you'll be able to say, Logan, listen, you're an idiot, or you're a genius. So I told you I watched a little bit of the singles. I kind of know what's going on there. I'm calling Jake Kuzmiter versus J.W. Johnson in the championship. But at the same time, I already know who the final four are here, so that gives me a little bit of a head start. All right, so on to women's singles. I was watching a little bit of this earlier. Leia was playing Tereshchenko, and I don't know who won. So I'm going to throw it out there that Leia's taking the win there. I'm going to give Leia the shot all the way to the finals. Anna Lee versus Leah Jansen. Going Anna Lee. Sorry, Leah. I just think Anna Lee's unstoppable. I don't know what you're going to do against this girl. It's over. Sorry. All right, on to men's doubles. This is going to be a tough one, okay? Again, you're going to look at me like I'm insane because you already know who's in the finals. But I don't. So I'm going the Johns brothers all the way. That's kind of an easy pick. If I had a backup on that side of the division, I would say don't sleep on the Frazier and Johnson duo. They might be able to pull this out and get there. They've done it before. They did it the weekend before last. So these guys are good. They're like the young guns out there. Pew, pew, pew. If it's not the Johns brothers, I'm calling Frazier and J.W. Johnson. On the other side of the court, or the bracket rather. I'm going to go with my boys, Tyson and James, as my backup, but not really a backup because this is kind of likely. The Matt Wright, Riley Newman duo, those guys are killers, and they might just take it all. So we'll see if I'm right, but I'm calling Tyson and James first, Matt and Riley as secondary. Onto the women's doubles side. This is pretty much not a sleeper pick at all. I'm taking the high seeds. I'm going Anna Lee and Anna Bright. And on the other side, I'm taking Smith and Kovalova all the way. Hopefully that's the championship today. I think it would be a great one if that pans out, or if it already did pan out. On the mixed side, let's see who we got here. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I could give you a better pick, but are Anna Lee and Ben, can you stop them? I'm not sure. I really don't think so, to be honest. Just don't think that's going to happen. I'm looking through here. There's some great players, some great duos. I just don't think you're going to beat them. And I'm going to say on the other side of it, this Jesse Irvin and Jay DeVilliers matchup could be super dangerous and really fun. Parinto and McGuffin, and we have Anna Bright and James Ignatowicz on that side of the draw. Whew. What am I going to take? All right, since I've been giving all the top seeds the picks, let me just take a bit of a sleeper. I'll go Irvin and DeVilliers here. I like that. Jesse's got a badass backhand. I think she could take these folks. And Jay will rip it too. He's the flying Frenchman, something like that. I love it. So those are my picks. I don't know. I'm either an idiot or I'm a genius. We'll see what happens. In other news, I came across a cool post on Instagram by one of the Fives owners. You all know him, Gary Vaynerchuk. He was asked, is pickleball a fad? His response was pretty good. I mean, I think that he feels that the amount of players in general across the world that are getting involved, the fact that TV deals are coming into play, we're getting some exposure. He doesn't believe it's a fad. I think when betting comes into play, it's going to be really fun just because people will bet on this game regardless whether or not they care. And it'll ignite social media. It'll ignite the press about it because people will be betting. There'll probably be some paddlegate and some bets will be. Who knows what will happen there. I was asked by some friends too, or maybe I saw this on Instagram or Twitter, something about can pickleball really keep up this growth? I work at a pretty high growth startup and I know how this stuff works. I mean, you're not going to be able to keep up exponential growth forever. However, we have a lot of room to grow still. If you watch these tournaments on TV, the fan experience is pretty good. We'll talk about fan experience in a moment. There aren't that many fans coming. We have room, I think, to fill a stadium. If you guys look up SLS, it's called Street League Skateboarding. This is the Rob Deerdeck thing that he built to kind of compete directly with the X Games. I think that pickleball can do something similar to SLS, where essentially imagine this moves around the country like it is currently, but maybe it's not at Lifetime anymore because it outgrows that. Maybe Lifetime is where the amateur tournament is, and then there's a side tournament going on, which is not the side tournament, but the pro tournament rather, going on at a big venue. Think like an indoor arena of sorts. And the lower bowl of that arena is filled out. And inside the main spot where there'd be a hockey game or a basketball game, maybe that's 3 courts. Maybe it's 4 courts. Maybe it's 2 something. Maybe there's a championship section and there's other courts. But I think that pickleball will get to the point where we can fill out the lower bowl of a stadium at least and create a pretty sweet experience out of it. And the amateur players can just bebop between, the Lifetime Fitness and then the arena to see the pros play. That'd be pretty cool. And I think in general, my anecdotal experience, just I've been playing for a year, the amateur players at the park, that's not slowing down. There's more and more people coming all the time. I'm fully bullish on pickleball for the future. It's also why I'm here doing this podcast. So that's my take. I'll link Gary V's post so you can watch his. Let's keep growing the game. All right, so here's a fun story about the growth of pickleball. Let's throw some fun stats out there that popped up in this CNBC article. Maybe this is Markets Insider article. Billionaire Mark Lassery, he bought an MLP team last year with James Blake, former tennis star. He just sold his 25% share in the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's see what this share was worth, $3.5 billion. So he owned 25% of it. After he sold his shares, kind of valued the entire Milwaukee Bucks at about $3.5 billion. The Milwaukee Bucks is a big organization, has a superstar on its team. But even further, Mark Lassery came out and said that he feels like there's a huge opportunity and upside in pickleball, maybe even a bigger upside than his shares in the Milwaukee Bucks. He mentioned something here that in 2021, pickleball was worth $100,000. I don't know if he meant exactly his team or pickleball in general. It's interesting. Maybe we're talking about the MLP here. Today, it's worth $10 million. The growth rate here could be insane. $100,000 to a $10 million valuation, and we're the fastest growing sport in the world. So take that for what it's worth. I'm going to link this article below, but I'll take a billionaire's word for it. And hey, listen, if you want to pay me to promote whatever you got, I'll take a little bit of your money on the side. Hit me up. I need some sponsors for the podcast. Speaking of growing the game, and I'm going to bring up one name one time, but two different stories. Travis Rettenmeier keeps popping up in my podcast just because I love what he's slinging out there. He's preaching. He's preaching the truth. So there was a post or a write-up in the Washington Post recently, and this writer was just trashing pickleball. At the same time, I get it. Media is a tough place, and you kind of need to push out some content that's controversial so you can get some views and it helps with advertising. I get it. The Washington Post probably said, who hates pickleball and who can write about how much you hate it, because everything we see online says that pickleball is amazing. So this guy comes online and he writes this story talking about blah, 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 says pickleball sucks, it's too loud, it's not a sport. However, there's too many injuries, you're not really burning calories. Well, I'll link below Travis Rettenmeier threw his rebuttal down. It's live on the PPA Tour website, which is fantastic. And Travis definitely shuts this guy down. So thank you, Travis, for your rebuttal. And we appreciate it as pickleball fans and players. Something I brought up with Eric Roddy in last week's episode was the fan experience. Travis went to Instagram and on his podcast talking about whether or not, well, he believes it should be, whether or not fans of pickleball should be rowdier. Should we make this experience maybe not the WWE, but more like soccer, more like basketball? Just yammering and cheering in the middle of points, maybe a little bit of trash talk as long as it's somewhat respectful. And Travis is all in on this. Eric's all in on this. I am personally all in on this. However, I think it's going to have to come down to the entities themselves, the PPA, the APP. The MLP already kind of has a pretty sweet atmosphere from what I can tell on TV, but it can always be improved. A couple of things I wanted to bring up. I'll probably write an article about this on SundayDinkingClub.com. Check it out. I've got one post up there, but I'll probably be writing more about these fun, like kind of kitchen thoughts, which is what I'm thinking of. I graduated from the University of Mississippi, and if you don't know about that school, we pretty much party first, school second, maybe sports is second and school is third. I don't know. But regardless, we have the Grove, which is one of the best tailgating atmospheres in college football. Probably little known fact is that we have a party in right field at our baseball stadium. We just won the national championship last year, so maybe more people know about this than I realize. But when I was in school, it was kind of on the come up, and it was this cool, amazing space for college students that I don't think any other college students around the country have. Essentially, the right field in baseball, the outfield above the fence, they created this dedicated space for us as students to just hang out and sit and party. I don't know why, I can't remember why they allowed us to do this, but we were allowed to bring our own beer. We could bring our own tents and our own chairs. And when there was a home run hit, we would throw the beers in the air. We called them beer shower. As soon as a home run's hit, throw the beers in the air. It is just a wild scene. I'll link that below if you want to check out the YouTube. So much fun. I feel like Ole Miss creates an amazing fan experience. The Orioles, the Major League Baseball team, also now has this outfield fan experience called the Bird Bath. So fans go out there, and I saw on ESPN they were decked out in like goggles and swim trunks, and they're out there shirtless. Whenever someone hits a base hit for the Orioles, they have somebody out there with like a big spray gun spraying all these fans with water to celebrate the base hit. And they call it the Bird Bath because they're the Orioles. And I'm like, man, the PPA needs to build this fan experience, and literally just they need to go to this whatever city they're in next. If they're in Atlanta this week, they need to put some boots on the ground, go out there and literally grab amateur young folks who want to have fun, give them free tickets, and say, listen, we want you to come to this fan experience and hang out. You're going to be in this section. We're going to give you cowbells and vuvuzelas, whatever you call those things. We want you to get rowdy, and we're going to make this fun and try to draw more of a crowd. ESPN College Game Day for football has the Coke Zero section where they bring students in, probably hook them up with free Coke so they can pour their bourbon in it. I don't know. But this sounds like a lot of fun to me. I think that the PPA and the APP need to create some marketing around these experiences and go do some guerrilla marketing to bring the folks to the tournaments to fill the stands, fill this section. Just make it really fun. Have like a Tyson McGuffin fan zone and give everybody tank tops and mullets. I don't care. Do something fun. Get some buzz about it on social media and on TV and build the audience that way and make this one of those experiences that whether or not you are playing pickleball or not, you take a second look and you say, wow, should I be there this weekend? And go. All right, everyone. Make sure you are subscribed to the newsletter. Go to SundayDinkingClub.com. Please subscribe to the email. Pretty much, I have all the fun stuff that I talk about in the podcast and even more in there. Tips on how to play, stuff I find all over the web. If you ask my wife, she says I consume way too much pickleball content. I take my favorite content from around the web every week, and I put it there in the newsletter. I bring you some more of the highlights here on the podcast it's worthy of speaking to, but the newsletter is going to have everything you need to get your pickleball fix. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Sunday. Enjoy the PPA tour this weekend. Get out and have a dink for me. I'll be here, hopefully dinking myself as well. I'll catch you on the next one. Tune in next time.